It looks like Sean Diddy Combs has experienced another setback as one of his attorneys decides to withdraw himself from his case. Not only that, it looks like Diddy is claiming that race is playing into the reason why he's facing charges.
There comes a time in every empire when the foundation begins to crack. For years, Sean Diddy Combs stood as an untouchable force in the music industry. He was more than just a businessman or a mogul. He was a symbol of power, influence, and cultural dominance. From platinum records to billion-dollar ventures, his legacy seems secure. But history has a way of reminding even the most powerful that nothing lasts forever. The walls around Diddy's empire are beginning to collapse, and with each passing day, the weight of scandal, allegations, and legal battles grows heavier. What was once a world of luxury and control has now turned into a battlefield where his every move is under scrutiny. And now, the latest and most unexpected blow has landed. One of his own defense attorneys has walked away. Not just any attorney, but a key figure in his legal team. Someone who was supposed to help him fight what could be the battle of his life. The way he left? Suspicious. A vague but powerful statement that raises more questions than answers. The legal world thrives on strategy. Every motion, every statement, every decision is calculated. So when attorney Anthony Rico suddenly filed a motion to withdraw from Diddy's case, it wasn't just a quiet exit, it was a signal. In his official filing, Rico stated, "Under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs consistent with the ABA standards for criminal justice." That wasn't just a resignation, it was a declaration. A declaration that something was happening behind the scenes, something serious enough for him to step away from one of the biggest cases of his career. This raises a crucial question. Did he discover something that made him walk away? Or did he see the inevitable writing on the wall and decide to distance himself before the case spiraled further out of control? Lawyers don't abandon their clients in high-profile cases unless there's a reason, and this case is already surrounded by controversy. At the heart of Diddy's legal troubles are federal racketeering and trafficking charges that carry a minimum sentence of 15 years if he's convicted. Prosecutors claim that he used his wealth, influence, and industry power to coerce women into extreme sex encounters that were often recorded and used as a form of control. These aren't just accusations of bad behavior, they are allegations of systematic abuse, manipulation, and exploitation. But Diddy's legal team has been fighting back with an aggressive defense strategy. Their main argument? That this is a racially motivated case, an attempt to bring down a successful black man by weaponizing an outdated law. They have focused their defense on the Mann Act, a law originally passed in 1910 to criminalize the transportation of individuals for prostitution across state lines. This law has a long and controversial history, having been used in the past to prosecute black men for interracial relationships, including the case of boxing champion Jack Johnson. Diddy's lawyers argue that hiring escorts is common in today's society, and that the law is being selectively enforced against him, but the prosecution has dismissed this argument outright, calling it baseless and irrelevant. The fact that the lead prosecutor in this case, Damian Williams, is himself a black man only adds another layer of complexity to this defense strategy. If Diddy's lawyers were hoping to frame this as an issue of racial injustice, that argument is already facing major resistance. The allegations against Diddy, however, extend far beyond the Mann Act. Prosecutors claim that he didn't just hire escorts. He manipulated and coerced women into participating in disturbing encounters, often filming them without consent and using those recordings as leverage. Multiple women have come forward with allegations, the most high-profile being Cassie Ventura, his former long-term partner. In her lawsuit, she accuses him of forcing her into degrading acts over the course of their relationship, using his power and influence to control her life in ways that went far beyond the public eye. With these claims piling up, the departure of Anthony Rico becomes even more significant. Why would a lawyer walk away from a case unless he saw something he couldn't support? Legal experts say that attorneys typically withdraw for a few key reasons. It could be a conflict of interest, where new evidence creates an ethical dilemma. It could be client non-compliance, where Diddy may not be cooperating fully with his own defense team. It could even be a financial dispute, though given Diddy's wealth, that seems unlikely. But then there's the possibility that Rico simply no longer believed in the case, that something about what he saw, heard, or learned behind closed doors made him realize that continuing would be a mistake. His statement, carefully worded yet undeniably telling, suggests that this was not just a routine withdrawal. When an attorney says they can no longer effectively serve a client, it often means that something within the case has become unmanageable, or worse, indefensible. The fact that this comes at a time when Diddy is under growing pressure makes it even more significant. Despite the setback, Diddy's legal battle is far from over. He still has a team of attorneys working to delay and dismiss as many charges as possible. His legal team will likely try to replace Rico quickly, ensuring that his defense remains intact. But the optics of this situation are undeniable. When one of your own lawyers jumps ship, it raises the question of whether more will follow. For Diddy, the fight ahead is unlike anything he's ever faced before. He has spent decades building a brand, a reputation, and an empire that thrived on power and control. But the cracks in that empire are no longer just surface level. They are deep, growing, and threatening. Reacting to bring everything crashing down. Their strategy seems to be twofold. First, they continue to push the racial bias argument, though it is losing traction. Second, they are challenging the legality of the recordings, claiming that they were obtained under questionable circumstances. If they can get key pieces of evidence thrown out before trial, they might stand a chance. But there's another problem. More women are coming forward. The moment one person breaks their silence, it often gives others the courage to do the same. What started with one lawsuit has now turned into a flood of accusations. Some of them date back years. And with each new allegation, the case against Diddy only grows stronger. As the walls close in, he is facing the greatest test of his life. The power he once held over people is slipping away. The fear that kept stories buried is fading. His ability to control the narrative is crumbling before his eyes. There is one thing left to watch. Who will betray him first? In cases like these, it is rarely the evidence alone that brings a man down. It is the people around him, the ones who know the secrets, the ones who have the power to confirm or deny what really happened behind closed doors. The moment someone flips, it will signal the final collapse. The fight is not over, but the cracks are becoming too big to ignore. The recordings, the fleeing business partners, the former allies who are now watching from a distance, it is all building towards something bigger. The question now is not if Diddy's empire will fall. The question is how soon. There is a moment in every scandal when the balance shifts, when the weight of accusations, evidence, and pressure reaches a point where even the most powerful can no longer hold back the tide. For Sean Diddy Combs, that moment is drawing closer. The legal battles are intensifying, the once loyal supporters are growing distant, and the walls that protected him for decades are beginning to collapse under the weight of the truth. The question now is not whether this case will destroy him, but how far the damage will spread before it's over. As the prosecution prepares its next moves, all eyes are on the evidence. The case against Diddy is not built on whispers or speculation anymore. It is built on hard facts, legal documents, testimony, and what may be the most damning of all, the hidden recordings. The prosecution claims to have footage showing exactly what went on behind closed doors, recordings that could prove coercion, manipulation, and worse. If these videos hold up in court, they will not just shape the narrative, they will define it. No amount of spin, money, or influence will be able to erase what is seen with undeniable clarity. Diddy's legal team is fighting to have the recordings dismissed, arguing that they were obtained illegally or taken out of context. But prosecutors are confident. They believe that once a jury sees what is on those tapes, the trial will not last long, and that is what makes this case even more dangerous for Diddy. A legal battle of this scale does not just end with a verdict. It ripples outward, shaking the industry, exposing those who were complicit, and leaving behind a trail of destruction. Behind the scenes, his once powerful empire is beginning to fracture. The silence from his closest allies is growing louder, a signal that many are choosing to step back rather than risk going down with him. Some are waiting for confirmation, needing proof before making their final decision, while others are already making quiet moves to protect themselves. In the world of high-stakes power, loyalty is often a fragile thing, built not on trust but on fear and mutual benefit. The moment those benefits disappear, so does the allegiance. The pressure is mounting on key figures within Diddy's inner circle. Investigators are looking at the people who are closest to him, the ones who were present at these so-called parties, the ones who knew what was happening and said nothing. The prosecution is building a case that does not just rely on the victims' testimonies, but also on those who witnessed everything, but never spoke out. These individuals are now faced with a choice: stay silent and risk being implicated, or cooperate and save themselves. It is a pattern that has played out in scandals before. When the government builds a case against a powerful figure, they start chipping away at the foundation, finding people who were involved but not at the center, pressuring them to turn, offering deals in exchange for testimony. The moment one person flips, the entire structure begins to collapse. And that moment may be coming soon. One of the most pressing concerns for Diddy's team is the growing number of women coming forward. The lawsuits are no longer isolated incidents. They are now part of a larger movement, a domino effect where one person's courage to speak out encourages another, then another. These are not just allegations from strangers. Some of these women were once part of his life, insiders who have now chosen to expose the truth. The more voices that join the chorus, the harder it becomes to dismiss their claims as fabricated or exaggerated. Diddy's team has attempted to discredit these accusations, painting them as opportunities opportunistic, part of a targeted attack against him. But the problem with this defense is that the sheer volume of allegations makes it impossible to ignore. In cases like this, the tide usually turns when the public perception shifts from doubt to certainty, when people stop asking if the accusations are true and start asking just how deep the scandal really goes. As the court proceedings continue, there are also financial implications looming over Diddy's head. His business ventures are bleeding. Corporate partners who once sought his influence are now reconsidering their ties. Deals are falling apart behind the scenes, and his wealth, once seen as limitless, is now under threat. The longer this case drags on, the more financial damage he will suffer. But the biggest loss is not just financial, it is his legacy. Diddy has spent decades crafting an image, building a reputation that transcended music and business. He was not just a producer or an entrepreneur, he was a cultural force. That image is now being dismantled piece by piece. The world no longer sees him as an untouchable mogul. They see him as a man desperately trying to escape the consequences of his past.